But
Yeah, I agree with you.
But you said expectations are too high, and you also mentioned, well, men wanting women who are virgins. Is that like a too high of an expectation?
I think, not that there's anything wrong with that, but if a man has a high body count and only wants to date or sleep with virgins, I find it creepy, honestly.
Oh, okay. Well, we can get into that.
I find it, no, I do, because if you yourself are not saving yourself for marriage, and it's not like a religious thing where you think you can sleep with whoever you want.
What if it becomes a religious thing?
But I mean, it's kind of too late for that. But
no, it's kind of not.
So a woman can
hang on.
A woman can sleep with 100 men and then wait till marriage?
Let's back up. They do. But let's back up real quick.
Okay.
Let's start with, you say, well, if it's not a religious thing, what if it becomes a religious thing?
I'm not saying it can't become a religious thing.
Is it creepy then?
But if a man has a body count of 100, just using a random number, and only wants women who are virgins, I find that very creepy and almost predatory.
What if he get? Well, hang on. Let me finish.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's say he gets to 100. Okay, gets to 100, converts to Christianity. Says, I want to get married to a virgin, but I'm not going to sleep with her before we're married. Is that still creepy?
Why would you want a virgin?
To answer the question,
okay.
Is it still creepy?
I do think it's still creepy.
Why?
I find it almost fetishizing the fact that she's a virgin.
Even if he's still
What? Why would it be a
wait.
fetish?
So I just don't see the requirements.
Isn't that under the purview of his religious belief?
Okay, if you want someone with a low body count or someone who also wants to wait for marriage,
Why
that's
not a virgin?
fine.
That's the lowest body count.
Okay,
right?
but why? Why do you want that?
Well, what if he's doing it via divine command? What if they think it's divine command?
But you yourself were not.
I didn't say I was, but I'm asking about divine command.
It's not hypocritical.
Where's the hypocrisy?
It's being hypocritical because you yourself are not a virgin and you're only looking to marry a
what
virgin
you've just done,
despite whether or not she's had 100 bodies in the past, and now is saying, I'll wait till marriage for my 101st body.
What you've just done is made an argument from hypocrisy, which is a fallacy, right? So can you make the argument not from hypocrisy and give me an actual argument for why that's in any way, shape, or form wrong?
I never said it's wrong.
You said it was predatory and creepy.
Well, okay.
Predatory sounds pretty wrong.
Okay, I do think it's a little off if a man wants a virgin and they themselves were not in the past.
Yeah, you find that your preference is.
Because
it's just say it's my preference, but there's no real argument.
When men think of virgins, they typically think of the adjectives innocent, young,
virtuous.
Virtuous, fine.
Pure.
Pure.
So
young.
men who find virtue are not allowed to go for maximum virtue.
Before I answer that.
Okay.
If there was a woman who, let's just say not even 110 bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
She has 10 bodies. She said, you know what? I found God. I'm going to wait till marriage for the rest. And that same man who has had 100 bodies and now has reformed and found God and wants to wait till marriage automatically disqualifies her just for the fact that she is not a virgin.
What's he doing wrong?
You don't find that creepy at all?
No. What's he doing wrong?
He's not necessarily doing anything wrong.
Okay, so hang on. He's not doing anything wrong. He's not doing anything immoral. He's also doing something which is maximum virtue from your purview. So tell me, why do you find it creepy outside of, it just gives me the ick?
It's the same instance.
No. Anything besides it just gives me the ick?
I will.
Okay.
Can I ask you another question before I continue? Do you find a 40-year-old man sleeping with an 18-year-old woman to be creepy?
Don't give a flying not even a little.
I personally find that creepy and predatory.
Do you think she should vote?
That's a whole other discussion.
Oh, well, wait a second. You don't want this dumb chick who these evil predators can just come and mangle her brain. You don't want them to be able to, hang on, you don't want them to be able to vote and then cancel out the well-informed vote of 40-year-old men, do you?
Keep it here, Nick.
Why does any 40-year-old man, you're halfway through your life, want to have sex with someone fresh out of high school or maybe still in high school?
Well, okay.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, who gives a shit? Why is it that 18-year-old women should be allowed to vote?
I never said they should or shouldn't.
Should 21-year-olds be allowed to vote?
I think that high schoolers maybe should not vote. But
even at 18?
That's a whole. Yeah, a lot of 18-year-olds are still in high school or just graduating.
So then why not just advocate this instead? Instead of saying, I find it creepy the age gap, right?
Yes.
Why not just say, I want to raise the age of consent to 21?
Because I don't think the age of consent should be raised to 21.
Right, okay, so just the age of consent between too much of an age gap. How much is the age gap that you think is too much?
What's that equation divided by 2 + 7 or something?
So that's just all ick, though. Isn't that just
No,
all ick?
I don't think.
So, like, can a 40-year-old man hook up with a 70-year-old woman? Can he marry a 70-year-old woman? Is that too much of an age gap?
They can. I think an 18-year-old is a child. I think anyone under 25 does not have a fully developed brain.
Then why are they fucking allowed to vote and join the military and do all this other shit? Why can they buy cigarettes? Why can they buy beer? Why can they drive cars? What are you doing?
18-year-olds cannot buy beer.
No, you said
21-year-olds.
up until 25,
Yes,
their
and
brains
there
aren't
are a
fully
lot of
developed.
restrictions.
So why don't not no at
As far
21
as
all
you
restrictions are
mentioned
basically
drinking,
gone.
Smoking,
At 21, it's all
renting
gone.
cars.
Don't-
No, at 25.
Wait,
it's
Wait. Back up.
restriction-free.
First of all, at 21 years old,
Yes.
basically all restrictions off the table, right? There's very few that aren't there. And when it comes to like getting a car, that's because of insurance purposes. 25-year-olds have way more experience driving. That's why.
Okay.
It's fairly simple, right? So we move
Just
back.
like 25-year-olds have much more life experience.
Yeah, but here's the question, right? Why is it that a 40-year-old and 18-year-old can't make the decision to get married? Right?
I never said they
Hang on.
could not.
Or hook up or whatever it is they want to do, right? But the 18-year-old can nullify the vote of the 40-year-old if you think that the disparity in their brains are that bad.
You keep bringing up the voting argument when I never mentioned voting.
I
at
know,
all.
I mentioned it because I'm giving you an analogy for why your argument's absurd. I'm giving you an analogy
If
by
you-
pointing out this thing over here exists and is fine because Schrodinger's feminist, who can both vote and is a girl boss and is an ass kicker, could do everything at 18 years old, suddenly is matched up with an evil 40-year-old Sith Lord who just wants to mangle her fucking brain so he can sleep with her. Is she competent enough to deal with this ass-kicking feminist, or do we need to raise the age of consent so that this hyper-predatory Sith Lord can't mangle her brain?
Most 40-year-old men at some point in their life when they're younger had a child that is probably 18 or older. So if you are at an age where you're sleeping with a woman the age of potentially your own daughter, I find that extremely predatory and creepy.
Well, I find it predatory that that woman could be sleeping with a man the age of her father.
You can't even
What
have
a sick
you-
bitch.
you can't
What
even
a
have-
sick
you can't
Take that bitch to prison.
Oh my God.
you can't even have a serious conversation.
That's a serious argument.
using all these goofy
It's as
voices
serious of an
because your
argument as
argument-
your argument. I can't believe he's sleeping with someone the age of his daughter. Well, I can't believe she's sleeping with someone the age of her father.
I stated the fact that men specifically want younger women.
And I just stated that in this
usually-
case, the younger woman
I
must
agree.
also want the man.
I agree, and I think that's weird, okay? But there's a completely different aspect.
This makes no sense. What are you talking? If she wants it and he wants it, your problem
Okay.
is just it gives me the ick.
No, so let's
Just
use
say
your
it gives you the
example.
ick.
Let's
You're
give
never
your
gonna win this
example.
argument.
So there's an 18-year-old with
Okay.
a body count of 100, and she
Uh-huh.
finds a 40-year-old virgin dude, and she wants to train him to be her husband and to take care of him and look after him and all that. I mean, everyone has their own cup of tea, but that's weird. Why would an 18-year-old...
What do you mean train him?
She's an adult. She can make her own decisions.
Most 40-year-old men who are looking for virgins or 18, 19-year-old women want to train them how to be their woman. That's why they go for the innocent young women.
Oh.
They don't want someone with prior experience.
Oh, and so why are those younger women going for those older men?
It's typically the men who go for the younger
And but
women.
why are those women going
Because
with
the
those
older
men?
men have convinced them because they're
Oh.
young and
no,
dumb.
I think that the younger women just want their f***ing resources and are using their beauty in order to entice them so they can take all their shit.
Fact.
You tell me why I'm wrong and you're right.
I didn't say you're not wrong, but I don't...
So what makes you right?
I'm just making the point that I think men...
Now tell me why
I think
I'm
older
wrong.
men focusing on wanting virgins is very creepy.
Well, I think that younger women,
And yes, that's
the
an
fact
opinion.
that
That's an
younger
opinion.
women will entice these 40-year-old men to take their resources, I think that's creepy.
I don't know why you're so defensive. If you
Well,
weren't
I'm
married, would you
pointing
want
out-
to have sex with an 18-year-old woman?
Oh my God, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? What does that have to do with anything?
Can you answer yes or no?
What? What was
If
the
you
question
were an
again?
unmarried man, would you want to have sex with an 18-year-old woman?
No, I wouldn't.
Why?
That wouldn't be my preference because it's not my preference. But if it were, I wouldn't see anything wrong with it, and you wouldn't either. You got
Why-
you have
why is it
hang
not
on,
your
shh.
preference?
You have no moral argument, not a single one. You have not a single argument that you've given thus far other than it's fucking icky. Now, when you're ready to give me an argument, and I'm going to sit here and wait.
I gave you
hang
multiple
on, I'm going to
arguments.
wait.
Just because you dismissed them,
I'm
going
gonna
to
wait.
I did not
Hang
give
on,
you
hang on.
one.
I'm gonna wait to hear
said-
anything other than it gives me the ick. Go ahead.
I said there is a high likelihood that that man might have a daughter the same age as this woman he wants to have sex with.
So,
That is morally wrong.
why?
Because she feels like it.
Why?
That is wrong.
Why?
Because a man should not be sexualizing woman his daughter's age.
What
Yes,
if his daughter's 30?
Wait, can I jump in on
Hang
this
on,
really
hang
quick?
on. What if his daughter's 30?
If his daughter's honestly, if you think it's okay to
What if he's 50
Woman-
and his daughter's 30 and she brings a friend home who's also 30? Is he a f***ing creep?
I find that yes.
That's, so, why is that immoral again?
It's okay. I will say it is my opinion. It is my opinion.
It's ick.
Base.
Just say it's ick.
Why do you
Just
want me
take
to
the
use that
L
word
and
so
say
bad?
the ick.
It's not taking an L.
Just take the L and say it's the ick, Andrew. I have zero arguments at all. Just say it.
I stated multiple arguments. I said her brain is not fully developed. She is young, probably fresh out of high school. She does not have nearly as much life experience. That man is old enough to be her father.
So is it
plus some
immoral?
years. I find it immoral, yes.
Okay, so let's start again. We'll start with the first one. Give me the one argument you think where it's immoral. Let's start with that one. Go ahead.
I find it immoral and hypocritic to...
You can't make an argument from hypocrisy. It's fallacious, so that's dismissed. But you can go ahead and make a different argument, which is moral. Do that.
Yes, it is morally wrong if you are an older man who has had multiple sexual partners
Mm-hmm.
to only be interested in innocent, pure young women, to want to train them to be yours and potentially manipulate them into
Great.
being yours.
Why is that immoral?
That's not always the intent to manipulate.
Why is that immoral?
Yeah. For the
Because-
800th time.
I said it is an opinion when it comes to the...
Then that's not, it's just your opinion, it's immoral?
Yes,
Your moral argument is it's my opinion.
sure, we'll say that, sure.
I'm going to go have a cigarette.
Can I interject?
Well, have
A
another
lot of
beer
people
too.
agree
I will
with her.
take over. I'm going to take over from there. If you want to take a seat, our good Chilean
I
soldier.
just don't
I'll
understand.
engage with you on the
Okay.
debate, though. So, okay. So you think an 18-year-old woman cannot consent to sex with a man you used
I never
40.
stated that.
But you were making the argument that their brains, I don't even know if this is true, that their brains are not fully developed. Your brain
that
is
is
not
true.
fully developed until you're 25.
Yes, that is true.
Okay, so because their brain is not developed until they're 25, they should
It was...
not what?
The argument wasn't even about age at first. It turned into that. It was about body
Virginity.
count and
Yes,
virginity.
it was about virginity.
I said,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
You're the one who brought
Yes, I did.
being young into it, because a woman could be 25 and 30, and she could be actually funnily enough, next week we have a 39 and a 40-year-old virgin women coming on the show. So you can be a virgin and be in your late 20s, 30s.
People can die virgins. People can
Absolutely.
be a virgin at any age.
Yes, absolutely.
But I
you
don't-
brought the young thing, the young.
It
thing
was more of
into
a question versus a debate. I was trying
Sure.
to understand, why do men idolize?
By the way, Andrew's cracking up. But I wish we had a camera. Andrew's cracking up out there. Oh no, you're good. I'm just telling them we see you cracking up out there.
It's not what you think.
Oh, okay, it's something else. Okay.
We weren't laughing at Malik.
I don't know why men idolize and glorify
Virginity?
virgins and young women, especially considering if they're older or have high body
I
count.
kind of get that to a degree because you obviously have this grooming culture.
Oh my God, it's not grooming to desire a partner with a low body count.
No.
Or-
I'm not saying that they go hand in hand. I'm saying that a small minority of people that do go looking for a small body count do.
Do you think the majority of men who prefer women with a low body count or who prefer virgins are grooming women?
That's why I said a small minority.
Let's just remove that off the table because it's kind of an exceptional scenario. And grooming is a very specific term here. Okay. So wait, I want to engage with you a little bit on this. So you said that their brains are not fully developed until they're the age of 25, right?
Yes.
So do you think then, and you think this is the case for both men and women, or is it just women who are,
I mean, you can fact check me. I believe
are
that's
more
just science.
likely? No, but do you think you think this applies more so to women because typically men tend to have more of a preference towards younger, keyword women, and I think it's typically not the case for women to prefer younger men.
I mean, I think it goes
So do you
both
think we
ways,
should
but you see it more in the man being older.
Okay, so given the fact that you said that women should not be, I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say here, but you're saying that, well, this is not okay because their brains are not developed until they're 25. Andrew already asked you this, but do you think we should roll back voting rights for women until they're 25?
I think 25 is a bit steep for that.
So you think we should raise the voting age?
But I wouldn't be opposed to
For just
raising-
women or for both men and women?
For both men and women, I wouldn't be opposed to raising
Okay.
the minimum age. However, for men, since men can be drafted at 18, I don't think it's fair to draft them and not have them be able to vote.
So can an
that's-
18-year-old man, is it creepy for him to go for a 40-year-old woman then?
But if a 40-year-old woman goes for an 18-year-old man, I do find that creepy.
I mean, that's
That
what's
man
going
can
on
be
with
her
Amber
son.
Rose right now.
Wait,
right?
so if the younger one goes for the older one, that's not creepy?
Not necessarily.
So then this is not a moral argument at all. This is just, you got the ick,
Okay,
right? It's just,
maybe
you
I
got the ick.
But can you explain to me why men desire young, pure virgins?
Well, yes, I can actually, and I can lay it out the best possible way. 1, men value fertility. 2, the reason that they want women who have a low body count is because until recently, technology has made it possible for us to determine whether or not the offspring that we have is actually ours. Before that, what determined whether or not the offspring was ours?
So what if?
Hang on. Before that, what determined if the offspring was ours? What would be the best way for you to determine
If
your
you had
offspring
sex
was
with them,
actually
if you had sex with that person.
exclusively, right?
Yes.
And so promiscuity and multiple sex partners would definitely lower your kind of ability to know whether or not the offspring was
But that's
actually
irrelevant
yours.
because
Why?
if you find a woman who in the past had under 5 sexual partners, hasn't slept with anyone in
Mm-hmm. Sure.
years,
Yeah.
a lot of men would still disqualify her from being in a romantic relationship just because she's not a virgin.
Yeah, but you're asking.
that's what I'm
Well, you're
asking for an
making two
explanation on.
bizarre distinctions, though. You're asking why would men be attracted to X, right? Versus the descriptor of there's lots of men who, if you had X
No, I can
behavior,
understand-
would push that aside.
I can understand why they're attracted to virgins, but specifically
Mm-hmm.
that they even if the boy counts 1, 2, 3, it's a hard no.
Well, again,
I don't think that's a lot of men's
well,
standards, but
but even if
It is a considerable amount.
but
though.
let's just say it was all of their standards, like all men. That was their standards, right? That old I don't know, no hymen, no diamond, or whatever, right?
No
that's,
hymen, no
You're right. That's all of their standards. It would still actually make sense as to why, because a woman who's a virgin and you're the person who takes that, you know what I mean, through marriage or whatever. Your assurance of your offspring actually being yours is what percentage?
It would be 100%.
That's it.
how about this? Men are more oppressed than women.
Yeah, I don't agree with
wanna,
that.
You want to bite on that one?
You're really trying to
You're in the hot
cast a
seat.
line here, huh? Oh man, I feel like there's. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Oh, why do you say that?
Well, I mean, you're talking about like rights and stuff, So I can think of 3 examples of things that strictly impact men that don't really impact women. So first off, and this is immediately upon birth, why I would think men are more oppressed than women. So upon birth, the vast majority of men in this country are get circumcised, which I view as child genital mutilation. It's done without their consent. I am against it. Women are not having their lady bits circumcised in
Not
this
in the
country
US.
on birth. So that's a pretty major issue that I view that impacts that's immediately upon birth, men are treated unequally to women. The next is forced military conscription. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. If we were to combine and add up all of women's collective grievances throughout all time, all the grievances, no right to vote, apparently you couldn't, there's something about bank accounts, couldn't have a bank account, inequality in the workplace, et cetera, unfair gender expectations, whatever. Put them all together, compare them to forced military conscription. I would argue that is a bigger grievance than all of women's collective grievances combined.
So circumcisions and draft.
No, just forced military conscription.
And then,
That's a bigger grievance, a bigger gender grievance than all of women's collective grievances.
and then what's your third?
No, I'm kind of veering off here and just
Okay.
saying like whatever the feminists want to say is a terrible grievance upon women. I'm coming and saying, well, actually, this one sole grievance experienced nearly exclusively by men is worse than all of your grievances combined together.
No, it's experienced just exclusively by men.
I mean, they're going to argue, well, in World War II, there was a Soviet sniper force of 1,000 women.
Yeah, no,
but
that would be the
yeah.
Soviet, though. So here in the United States, totally agree.
Well,
with
I was even just arguing like worldwide when it came to military conscription, almost all battles dating back thousands of years, it's men have been forced to go to war and die and women haven't. And that is a bigger grievance. And you know what? I'll even say just World War I and World War II, the suffering that men exclusively endured in warfare is a bigger grievance than all of women's historical collective grievances combined.
That's crazy.
How's that crazy?
Damn, that's crazy.
What? Give me an example. I'll allow you to give me one example that's worse than forced military conscription. That women
In World War II,
give me just
general.
military
In
conscription.
general.
Give me one example.
Octopus Tetro donated $100. Brian, look to the scriptures of Christ and you will see the need of circumcision. When we look at what God himself wants from us, it's necessary. Malek, you're from a Muslim culture, but look to Jesus.
I mean,
Malek came from Orthodox
saying
Christianity, if I
circumcision is
remember
mandatory?
correctly.
Yes, I'm mixed. I'm also Armenian, and I grew up with Armenian culture, and Armenia was the first Christian nation, so I'm Christian.
I mean, I don't actually know what the Christian position is on circumcision. I don't know, Andrew, if you're able to weigh in on this, but
It's mixed. There's been a big fight about it, especially over the last 100 years. So I'm not gonna dive too much into that. You would need somebody who had more nuance of church affairs than me when it comes to circumcision. But yeah, there's a big fight about it even now.
yeah, I mean, it occurs to me though, if you take a secular look at circumcision, you remove the religious component. I mean, on its own, it occurs to me that it's a rather barbaric practice.
I don't know.
But bringing it back to you, okay, state one gendered grievance that women have experienced that's worse than forced military conscription.
I mean, I guess the outcomes of going to war,
What do you-
the outcomes of like what happens with women and like cities that are invaded.
So Hillary Clinton in the 90s said something along the lines of, women are the primary I think she said, women and children are the primary victims of war. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I think everyone's a victim of war, so no.
But everyone's a victim. But do you agree that women are the primary victims of war?
No.
Who are the primary victims of war?
I think all of the human species is.
But the
No, who are the primary victims of war?
I have to name a man or a woman. That's my two options.
No,
Like a group.
Well, so let me try to frame it better, make
Yeah.
it a little easier. If you had to choose
Yep,
which
there we go.
sex,
That's what I just
if
asked.
you had to choose which sex, would you say is men or women who are primarily affected by warfare?
This is crazy.
It's not crazy. You
Wait,
just
wait,
don't.
no, let her answer. Go ahead.
I'll say women.
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 Wait, so
And why?
Put it-
Why would you say that?
put women are what? Put it in your own words. Women are what?
The main victim of war.
Wait,
oh my
what?
God,
You
this
didn't
is
get
so-
what, Nick? You didn't.
That women are the main victim of war.
Why?
Okay.
How?
This is why people shouldn't go to get a master's degree. After the first
So
4 years.
why? I think Andrew was asking, why are women the primary victims of war?
Well, in the case I'm thinking of, World War II, and
Yeah, World War II. Sure. Let's use World War II. Okay.
like in Asia, for example, you have men who can fight. They have weapons. They're able to protect themselves. Let's say, yes, outcome of war, a lot of people die in both sides. There's a lot of cases where nothing can happen, like a nuke, for example, or a bomb. There's a lot of cases where I'm not saying this is generalized for everything, but they had competitions where they would go into villages and R-word the women, kill them after. This happened to like children in front of the mothers, things like that, which is
Okay, so let's assume that's true, right?
It
So
is
let's-
true.
Yeah, you're
Sure.
talking
No,
about
but-
you're talking about Nanking.
well, it didn't
Yeah,
just happen
it occurred
there.
to yeah. I thought she was talking about Vietnam, but
It happened in the
she's talking
Philippines
about-
too.
look,
World War
yes,
II,
but
Nanking.
in war, yes, okay. Let's say let's just agree with you. Yes, in war, rape occurs. Rape is terrible. It occurs. So your position is because rape occurs in war, women are the primary victims of war.
Well, I'm not saying that is like the only.
Let's say 100,000 women. I'm making up a number here. I don't know what the truth is. Let's say during World War II, 100,000 women were raped, and 20 million men were killed in World War II. Who's the primary victim of war
But it's
in
not
World War
just
II?
men dying in World War II. It's also women dying. They aren't just
The
getting
men are
R-worded.
forced to put
Wait.
their life on the line.
What You mean the women? Are you talking about civilian casualties
Yeah,
or
civilians, of course.
Okay, but now let's add on the 20 million military deaths. I might have my numbers wrong a little bit here, but so let's assume military deaths are like nearly exclusively male, like 99.99% male.
Okay.
Okay, so you have 20 million male military deaths versus let's exclude civilian populations because there's
Okay.
male civilian populations too. Let's just say only women are getting raped, right? 100,000 women get essayed. Who is the primary victim of war?
In the case you just described,
So let's say there's 20 million male deaths, military deaths, and then there's 100,000 women who are essayed, civilians.
okay.
Who's the primary victim of war?
In that case, men.
Okay, so you've just made a case for
If
all
you're cutting
war.
out civilian casualties to prove this
Which-
point,
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Than men.
but he can, especially since you're specifically looking at the United States. So, for instance, of the 292,000 members of the U.S. military who were killed by enemy fire, 16 of them total were female. 16
of the
from the
United States. Yeah.
Total. 16 from the United States for all of World War II. All of it.
Yep.
So who would you say then was the worst victim of war for at least for the United States? If you just like had to choose
That's the men.
the men. Now, if we were to go stat by stat, nation by nation, you're going to find something very similar to this, because women, you may not know this, are actually usually protected in warfare conditions. Now, it is true that the communists did horrible things to their own population, the populations that they conquered. That is true. They did. The Russians especially. I mean, they went through Berlin, did horrific things to the women, but still predominantly the ones who suffered the most in even the European nations were men. I mean, just the casualty rates alone, as Brian is indicating, were overwhelmingly disproportionate. So knowing this new information, did you maybe want to change your answer
What's the casualty rates on both?
on which? Well,
On
I mean,
female and
you've
male.
already
Did you pull it up?
Female and
You-
you mean female soldiers?
No,
Or
I'm saying female civilians, anything.
civilians.
Yeah, if you want to know the disproportionate rate between the two, we can look those stats up for you as well. But under the assumption for a second that it is true that they were disproportionately male, because they were, would you then still concede? Or would you say, no, women are still the victims, the primary victims?
I never even agreed with that original point. You said you have to choose one. I said I think all humans are victims of
no,
war.
but
well, no. And then when you modified your answer, you said women, though.
You said
No,
women.
I modified it because you made me modify it. You said choose men or
well, yeah.
women.
Well,
But
what
you-
I did was I said if you had to choose between one sex or the other,
Yes.
which would you choose? You said women. So we're obviously asking that question so we can test your logic as to why you would pick women.
I chose that answer, and I said this is because of what goes on in war, the invasion of cities and things like that, where women will get attacked, SA,
And
the
what
ARD.
what
and-
happens
Hang
to the
on,
men?
They will get SA'd, but sometimes up to 1/3 to 2/3 of the entire civilian population of men are put to the sword. And women usually don't have to deal with that problem. They get carried off as basically trophies, and they get to live. And the men
Not
get put on
necessarily.
spikes.
You-
That's what happens.
They don't allow them to live sometimes.
Sometimes that's true, but most of the time it's not true. Most of the time, when you're looking at the disproportionate rate of men versus women who are butchered in these massacres, it's still generally men. And the reason for that is because they don't want to leave an enemy at their back of possibly capable, able-bodied soldiers who could come after them. That's why that occurs that way.
I'm saying in war, I think that what goes on with when they invade certain cities and villages, things like that, I think not being able to defend yourself is very scary, right? I think that makes them
Can't
victims.
defend themselves either, if it's a civilian population.
Yeah, of course,
Good
but
thing we're in the U.S.
And yet, so the men are the ones, though, that are usually gathered up and systematically exterminated first. It is true that women do have to experience things like SA and things like this, but generally, many, many, many times more of them are allowed to live.
Also, you brought up defending yourself, but earlier you said you're against guns.
Wait, that,
We're talking about
don't
war.
derail. Don't derail. Wait. So who's the primary victim of war?
oh my gosh. Can I say all humans again?
No, you have to.
Stand
you have
on
to pick.
business.
I guess we'll pick women.
We haven't made a convincing enough case to change your mind at all on this. I have a video. Let's pull up a video really quick. Nick, can you go to the private chat? Before you pull it up, let me just read two chats here. Maddie, can you read this one?
So if your family member came to you and lied about being black, would you care?
It would be a little concerning why they randomly started saying
Why would that be concerning? Would it be concerning because they're suffering clearly from something which is a delusion?
I mean, I'm not going to air that.
I think there's a difference between.
What do you mean
like,
you're not going to answer that? Why would it be concerning if one of your family members came to you and said that they were a black man if they were a white woman? Why would that be concerning to you?
Again, I don't know why this is such a honed in conversation. I really just, to be nice, I don't like saying a crazy opinion on this because
Yeah,
I think
already
it's,
know what your feelings are in the matter. I asked you a question. Why would it be concerning to you if a family member came to you and misidentified their race? Why would that be of concern?
I think race and gender are different.
Yeah, I agree that they're different, but I'm going to ask you one more time. Why would it be of concern to you?
Because they are not that race.
Right, they are not that thing. So you would think what? Why would them not being that thing be of concern to you?
Why would it be a concern to me? It's not because
Why would it be of concern to you that somebody came to you and said this thing to you? Why would that be concerning?
That's a good question. I don't know why it would be concerning.
But then why did you just say you would be concerned by it?
I would be concerned because they are identifying as a race that they're not.
Right, so they're lying to you. That's what the concern
lie
is.
isn't-
You know that they're lying to you, so that would spring delusion inside of your brain. You would say they were delusional. There's no other reason you could possibly give for why that would be concerning. And if you can, I'd love to hear it.
But delusion and a lie is a little bit different, don't you think? A liar, a good liar is whatever, but someone who's actually delusional and is having a mental crisis is very different.
What do you consider it to be delusional if one of your family members, who was a white woman, came over to you and said that they were a black man?
Yeah, I think it's delusional at that point.
Yes, exactly. It's delusional because
don't
they're lying
think-
to you and telling you that there's something that they are not.
What
Why
if they
would the
believe
same
it?
thing not apply to sex? I'm so confused.
It's still delusional.
Delusion is believing your own lie.
Yes. So it's still a lie.
Here, let me ask you a question. Is it, okay, let's say me. I would not want to date a trans woman. Is that transphobic?
I think that's your preference.
Okay.
So I have no quarrels with that. That's fine.
Okay.
Where is your line though? Because you're like, hey, you just want to respect them. I personally believe you can respect and not accept delusion. So would you accept any person who identifies as, no matter what severity of their transition they are?
Yeah.
So
Again,
if a guy has a beard, if Brian threw out a wig, you would accept him if he wanted to be identified as a woman.
why not? I don't see a problem with it.
What makes it more acceptable for someone to change their gender, I'm not going to say sex, rather than their race?
If we want to do the gender argument, people argue gender is like a construct, right? Of
Yeah, but race is a construct from your worldview too.
race is a construct.
Yes.
How?
What do you mean, how? You don't believe that race is a construct? You think that it's a biological truth?
Well, like your skin tone is a construct.
No, I didn't say skin tone. I said race is a construct.
Race is not color.
I'm just asking what makes it more acceptable.
From your worldview, and there's nothing here that's TOS, Brian, I promise. From your worldview, race is a construct.
Not
Yes?
Not necessarily, no, because it's dependent on locationally a lot. There's a lot of background.
Well, those are called clines. From your worldview, that's called a cline. So that would be a cline cluster. It has nothing to do with race. You're just talking about demographic areas. So yes, I'll concede to the cline clusters, but race, from the worldview of you, the leftist, does not exist. It is not a biological reality. So if that is true, and it's not a biological reality, it's just a social construction, just like gender is, you would have to explain why in the world it is that you would be willing to concede to one of these delusions but not the other.
I think it's because with a race, there's a lot more behind it than just wanting to identify as a different gender.
Why? It's just a social construct, right?
No, because there's things that go along with race in general. Like there is like racism, the idea of racism. You aren't going to.
Yeah, but like the idea of transphobia, it would be the same exact thing, right? You can have a social construction and then you can have a bias against the social construction. Doesn't make it any less of a social construction.
I have a question.
Wait, no, hold on. Just for the sake of time here, I'm trying to get a little. Oh, okay.
Big Sass Energy donated $100. At what point is respecting the person actually calling out their delusion or lie? Is it really respect to play along with their mental illness? Is that really compassion? Or is it just lazy apathy?
Okay. Thank you, Big Sass Energy. Okay, just really quick. So, a male S-ing the D of a trans woman, is that heterosexual? No. That's not. It's not heterosexual.
If you suck lady dick, are you gay? Okay? It's simple. If you suck lady dick, are you gay?
I want that.
This seems like such an easy question.
I said no, it's not
Yes,
heterosexual.
you're gay. You suck lady dick.
No, because earlier I asked if it's straight as a heterosexual man to date a trans woman, and you said
Yes.
it is straight.
So dating is straight, but
Well, some people don't even have sex before marriage, right? That's a big one.
Okay, fine. Let's talk just sex. Let's talk just sex. Okay.
Okay.
Wait,
Is there any scenario? Huh?
It's a little late. I gotta get going.
Before you leave, let me see if I can actually very quickly. I know we had some pre-show notes that. Wait. Hold on. Drax, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we hit it. I think we hit
Yeah.
all your notes, so I know it's late. If you do got to excuse yourself,
I do.
totally fine. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
thank you for
thanks
staying.
for having
Appreciate
me.
it.
It was really nice to meet you
Um,
guys.
I'm gonna have you
Nice
take
to
your
meet
seat.
you. Have a great night.
Bye. It was nice to meet you.
And we are gonna try to
You
wrap
weren't
up
as
here.
scary as I thought you were gonna
Oh, there
be.
it is.
It's a big old teddy bear.
What's
Oh,
that?
I said you weren't as scary as I thought you were going to be.
Oh wait, before you
Oh,
leave.
where the hell does this idea come from?
You
know,
use a
just
lot of big
because you have
words.
blue hair
Wait,
doesn't mean
as a
you're
plug,
feminist.
whatever
You know, I
clips,
just
that's where it
assume
comes from.
What is a woman?
God.
Starting with you, go ahead. We'll actually do this around the table.
Anyone who wants to identify themselves as a woman.
Huh. Okay, we'll come back to that. What about?
Someone who was born biologically a woman.
Oh man. Anyone who wants to identify as a woman.
Is a woman?
Sure.
So what is a woman? So a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman. So
yeah, that's circular logic. Yeah. No, I
and
know.
I guess I'd bring it back to you on that too.
Man, you're honed in on her. I think that's a good one.
No, well you gave this pretty much the same answer.
Yeah,
so
Yeah, we
I kinda-
generally agree.
so you're
So speak.
so what?
Speak
So
woman.
your answer was a woman is anybody who identifies as a woman.
Yeah. I just don't think like I'm in a position to dictate how others feel. So that's my kind of mental.
Okay, Malik.
A woman is an adult human female.
A woman is a biological female.
A woman is a biological female or someone who completely transitions into a woman, not
Oh.
through
Okay.
just identification.
Wait.
Like,
Oh, okay.
like they
So you're
don't
saying-
just go to the.
So they could be male, but if so long as they fully transition,
Yes.
they can be a woman.
Like-
okay.
I guess
Like surgery and hormones.
I wouldn't necessarily say like bottom surgery for sure, but like
So they
you
can
know.
still have.
Yeah, I mean I'll say that, but like you know
Alright.
at least
2024.
getting
woman.
into passability.
Okay. What about you?
A biological female, but I also agree because there's women, but there's also trans women, which you're asking what is a woman. So my answer would be a biological female, but there is the other side of it.
A woman is an adult human biological female.
Okay, so let me relate this a little bit to dating. So,
I didn't get a definition.
oh,
What's a woman?
all
Andrew?
right, go ahead.
Aw.
A woman is an individual whose sex corresponds with that of the only sex which can produce offspring.
So female.
Wait, what?
Biological female.
Biological.
So if you can't produce
No,
offspring, you're not a
there's
female?
There's some females who can't produce offspring, right?
Are they not considered women?
So you have to be cautious. So the definition is the sex which is associated
Oh.
with the sex which can reproduce and have offspring. That is a woman.
But men can have offspring.
Huh?
No, they can't carry offspring.
Oh, I missed the carry part. I'm sorry.
Malik.
They can conceive young. Just do it. We'll do it that way if you want to
So,
be pedantic about
let's-
it.
let's
the
re-
sex that which can conceive young and is associated with that which can conceive young.
Let's relate this to dating. So, are trans women women?
No.
So they're feminine, but not women.
Trans women are trans women.
But you two were kind of saying, well, if they've gone through the transition, then they can.
Because I feel like there's, especially nowadays, there's a lot of people who will they will claim trans but not transition, and
Okay.
there's
Let's say they did though.
like full transition.
Sure.
I would not I wouldn't sit there and be like, you're a real woman, but I wouldn't sit there and call you a man.
So, related to
Yeah.
dating. So, a man, how do I want to frame this? Is it straight as a heterosexual man to date a trans woman?
No.
Well, hold on. Starting with you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're straight.
And to date a trans man, I think so. Or
So
a trans,
if I'm as a heterosexual man, if I were to date a trans woman, is that straight?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'll come back to that. We'll go around the table. Go ahead.
I wouldn't. I mean, if you consider yourself straight and you're dating a biological man, then no.
They're fully female presenting. You're attracted to the female presence, so I think so.
What if they have a penis?
I might say that that's not totally straight.
Okay.
There's different definitions.
Okay, so it's obviously not straight if you're having sex with anything. If you're having sex in any other circumstance than heterosexual sex with two opposite genders. Using logic of certain people, could present myself as a feminine presenting gay trans man. What is stopping me from presenting myself and identifying as a feminine presenting gay trans man? Because if I'm a gay trans man, it means I'm still attracted to men, but I'm feminine presenting.
Do it. No one's stopping you. Go do it.
And then if I have sex with a man as a feminine presenting gay trans man, that is not gay sex. That's straight sex.
Why even waste your time? This is super simple. Okay? You just go around the table and ask a single question. Just a single question.
Let's just continue going around the table.
Yeah.
So, I'm
A
confused
gay
by.
trans man would be a biological
female.
woman.
Exactly.
So female who wants to have sex with men.
Men, but wants to be a man.
Yes.
So
and
what's
gay.
your point? What's your point?
The only straight sex is man, woman having sex. Trans woman is a trans woman.
Male, female.
Everyone can have their own opinion on it. To me personally, I don't consider that straight sex.
Okay.
I think anything outside of heterosexual sex I would consider pansexual. So where you accept everything or anything as it is.
Well, okay. So perhaps the better question is a male who is having sex with a trans woman. Is there any scenario where that man can claim to be straight?
No.
Socially, I think so. I think the disconnect a lot of times is that if you ask a trans woman or a trans man, are you a woman or are you a man? Socially, I think they can be. If you're presenting fully, it doesn't matter what's down there. That's, I guess, you and your partner's business. But if you're presenting fully, then... if you're presenting
let me just ask you a simple question. Can you be a black man?
Can I?
Yeah.
No.
Can you center up a little?
Why not?
Because I'm not.
What if you present yourself as being one?
I mean, if I fully committed,
that would just be blackface.
Yeah, like if I literally could become one, sure. Like all I'm saying is that if.
What do you mean become one?
Okay, wait. What I'm saying is that if there is a person or a trans woman just going about their day, whatever, and you didn't know that they were a trans woman, I would say socially that they could be considered a woman just for the sake of just having it easy. I'm not gonna.
So if I showed up at a party and I pulled a rabbit out of a hat, does that mean that socially I could do magic, or would I just be presenting an illusion?
I think a little bit of both. If you could trick people, I'm not saying that it's not an
If you,
illusion.
if you can trick people, right? If you can trick them, so it wouldn't change the fact of the matter. It would be a trick.
No,
So
correct.
if you presented yourself as a black man, would that be the fact of the matter, or would it be a trick?
It would, I guess, be a trick.
It
So
would be
I
a
guess
trick.
maybe I miscommunicated of like, you cannot physically I can't physically become a black man.
Oh, then how come a man can physically become a woman ever, or a woman physically become a man?
I think surface level they can. Like they
Well,
can't.
what does that mean, though? That just means that they're
Looks.
tricking you, right?
Yes, definitely. Just tricking
So
you.
what you're saying is that there are some people out there who can trick you into believing a thing which is not true.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then if that's the case, then I agree.
Okay.
What do you think?
No, I don't think that it would be considered heterosexual.
Okay. What about you?
It's a hard question. I mean, if they were fully transitioned, that would be a hard question.
Fully transitioned.
Fully transitioned.
Bottom surgery, even.
I'm not sure how to answer that. I'd say yes or, I mean, I guess no. They can't, no, they wouldn't be. If they knew the fact that they were like fully transitioned and they knew that they were trans, then no.
Okay. Wait, so you said it would
How
be...
does one not know that? Like, I'm actually confused now.
What was that?
How would they
How
not
would
know that?
one
Like
not
if they didn't
know that?
communicate that? I don't know. If you're fully transitioned organs and everything and you didn't communicate, I mean...
Well, I mean,
Is that-
there is an example of that though. There's a clip of a, I wouldn't say well-known trans woman, but I'm not too big in the community, so I'm not too sure. But she actually said she, didn't tell a man for about 2 months, and he had no
Is
idea.
that makeup chick?
Like
Is it the
Nikki
makeup
the
chick?
Dragon, right?
No,
Oh.
it's somebody completely different. But she had bottom surgery, and they were sexual with each other, and she didn't tell him for about 2 months.
So
That's
he was
SA,
tricked.
bro.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
that was essentially the debate on that too. But yeah, he had no idea for about 2 months.
They should have said something.
Wait, so okay, you said, going back to you said that it would be straight
Yeah, I think so.
for a male to date, have sex with a trans woman. Is that correct? Did you agree on that or no? I forgot.
I think it depends on the surgery post-op, after op.
Okay, well, let me start here. So let's say they still have a peen.
That is slightly less straight to me, yeah.
It's slightly
It's
less.
not super light to me.
What about you?
I agree.
Oh, well, because you said it was just if you're a male dating a trans woman, that's straight.
Yeah, I think so. But
But I mean, a trans woman could still have a peen,
yeah,
so still straight.
I still think it could be straight. Yeah,
Could be straight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why is it
So do you
could?
So
think-
then,
Well,
so then
what
what
if
is
they're-
straight? So in this concept, when we say homosexual, we mean same-sex relationship.
Yep.
You would agree that these people have not changed their sex, correct?
Wait, sorry. Reiterate your point.
Homosexual means same sex.
Yeah.
Same sex relationship. You would agree that these people have not changed their sex, correct?
Yeah.
You can argue they've changed their gender, but you would never argue they changed their sex, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then they would be in a homosexual relationship. Straight is a short form slang for heterosexual. So how could this ever be a heterosexual relationship if they're the same sex?
I just want to respect people, and if a man
How they
is dating someone who is a trans woman, I think if they identify as straight, why would I dictate it otherwise? Like, why does it matter to me?
Well,
just
because
reality.
because you can have words which operate only under two modes, really. You can have an empty label, for instance, that would be Brian's name. His name is Brian, but there's many, many, many Brians, right? It's an empty label. It's not particularly, the name itself is not pointing at anything. Now, himself as an identifier can point to him specifically. But if you say homosexual, that is a label which has meaning. It's pointing to something. Same sex. Heterosexual is pointing to something else, right? Which is opposite sex. So the question then becomes, if you conflate and make a category error out of this and say people who are the same sex are actually people who are opposite sex, now we have a word concept fallacy. So I need to understand why it is that out of respect you're going to yield to them that this thing is true, which is categorically false.
Well, the reason I do that is because I think it's easier for me to just change my language or change change how.
You don't think it's easier?
So it's easier for you to lie.
No, just to respect what they want to be called. If Brian wanted to go by the name Paul,
wasn't
I
the
would call him
question.
Paul.
Yes,
Like,
but I already explained to you the distinction in names. Names are empty labels.
but
Words have specific labels, and it's because words are designed to convey information. Here's an example. When I say the word cat to you, does the word cat point to something? Can you tell me what it's pointing at?
words also transform over time.
Can you tell me what
Big
the word
Sat
cat
Energy
is pointing
donated $100. No amount of data, reasoning, or logic will change leftist women's mind. They appeal to emotion and feelings only. They are truly the scourge of the earth. They are being rejected en masse, thank God.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with the
Thank
super
you,
chatter
makes sense.
more that leftist women are the scourge of the earth. But back to this, when I say the word cat, what am I pointing at?
The animal? You want me to say the animal?
Yeah, describe it for me.
I don't know how to describe a cat. Feline with little pointy ears most of the time.
It's got fur, it's got 4 legs usually, right? It's got a tail, it's got all that. So I've conveyed all of that information to you with a single word, haven't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so how come when I say the word homosexual, there's suddenly confusion?
There's no confusion.
Okay, if there's no confusion, then why is it, other than if you know what the word means and you know what it's pointing to, and somebody says, I'm not that thing, how are they not lying?
But it's funny that you think they're lying. What if they, like,
I
how do
just
you don't know what
demonstrated
goes
how
on
they're
in
lying.
like their bedroom life? What if they don't even?
Why
is
aren't
that
you
your
a
issue?
black woman?
What?
Why aren't you a black woman?
Are you gonna do the born this way?
No,
The
I'm
argument?
asking you a specific question. Are you a black woman?
No.
If you
Wait, you're
claimed that
not?
you were a black woman, would you be telling the truth or would you be lying?
I would be lying.
Okay, well then why wouldn't the same exact thing be true in the case of homo versus heterosexual, knowing that these categories are also indicating the same thing, which is a biological reality which is associated with those words?
I don't know why I would care about this. Like, I rather just,
You don't
like
know
I
why you would
said,
care about lying?
Like
That's weird.
Truth.
I don't care about if someone tells
You
me a
don't care.
lie. No.
You don't care about truth.
You don't
in
care if
general?
people lie to you?
Aren't you getting a master's?
Yeah.
Hang on, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. You don't care if people lie to you?
I don't care if like someone wants to identify as trans. Again, what if you deem it as a lie?
But so you just tried to duck the question. It was cleverly done, but I caught on to it quickly.
Okay.
You don't care if
Shout out to
people
you.
lie to you? Is that yes or no?
The general public, if a random person says lies to me, no, I don't care. Why
You
would I
don't care. So if you have a friend who is a friend of yours, do you care if they lie to you?
I would care more. But it depends
What
what
about
it
a
is.
family member?
I would care more, but it depends what it is.
In your pre-show notes, you said that you are conservative and traditional.
Yeah.
You consider yourself traditional?
Yeah, in some points.
Okay. I took a review of your Twitter and your well, I didn't purchase your OnlyFans, but we looked at the front page, right?
Right.
Your Twitter and your Instagram. We're not going to pull up your Instagram because we'll probably get into some sort of trouble for what's on there. But
Right.
Is he going for that?
actually, wait, hold
It's
on.
not that bad. I don't think her Instagram's
Going around the
terrible.
table, really quick, before I get to that, do you consider yourself traditional?
I'm independent.
No, not politics.
I
Just
don't
like,
know.
are
What
you
the
tra-
fuck is
are you
Explain what you mean by
traditional?
traditional
Yeah,
so they
please.
can
What
understand.
is that?
I'm going to defer to Andrew on this one, but typically when I think of traditional,
traditional?
values, modesty.
So
Inquisitor Zeal
I can
donated
explain the best way I can.
$100. Andrew, do you see how much easier it is to just be a zealot? Yes.
Yes.
All prostitutes are undateable. Yes. All heretics must burn. You don't have to be charitable with their individualist nonsense.
I think you have to meet people exactly where they're at, or at least try to. So let me try to
Thank you,
give kind of
Inquisitor.
an overview of what I consider traditional to be. So traditionalism best described as experiments in history which we know have worked. Okay? That's what it means. So when we're talking about experiments in history which have already worked, We're basically talking inside of the United States about a bit of modesty, and two-parent household, these types of things. That's what we're talking about when we're making a reference to traditionalism experiments, which we know have worked.
Then yes, I am a traditionalist.
You're aren't you an fans model?
Well, I believe in traditionalism, but yes, I
Okay,
am.
but
My
I mean-
my parents have been married for 40 years, so I believe in that. Do I believe in it for myself? Maybe not. So I guess, all right, fine. Untraditional? I don't know.
Let's have all the girls answer. Are you traditional? Do you consider yourself traditional?
I wish I could be traditional, but right now where I am in my career, I'm like honest with myself, and what what I do is like an untraditional thing. But if I could, I would be traditional. Like, yes, I came from the same thing Brittany has. Like, my parents are married, my grandparents are married. I grew up that way. I wish I could have that, but I don't have that.
I have to get up, but going around the table if you all want to answer the question.
Yes. Go on.
Next.
None of them are
Yes,
going to
everyone's
get
been
the
talking.
third degree.
But,
just the first one that answers. Of course.
I would say my friends and family would describe me as traditional, everybody who knows me, but I can tell for me personally, I'm slowly pulling away from that traditional view.
Oh, you're moving away from it.
A little bit. I feel like I am a traditional person in my mindset. It's just that this generation...
Is having 3 sugar daddies traditional?
In the way I operate with them, yes, actually. Because it's no different, really, than a cousin giving you money and being like, here's for you.
It's a bit
and your
different.
parents holding it.
Because your cousin giving you money probably isn't engaging in like incestuous lust.
Honestly, I don't think they lust after me the way you think. Like, you think it's just
Why
all
would
appearance-wise.
a
It
guy
just-
give you money? Just nothing in this world is free, right?
Nothing is, but it's not like they're giving me money.
So you don't
right
think
off
that
the
they
bat.
have any?
They get to
You
know
don't
you
think they have a
first.
romantic interest in you?
Most of them, if they do, keep it to themselves. They tell me that I look good, and that's it. There's no pictures.
I don't. I mean, look, I know there's a lot of simps out there. I personally don't get it. I don't get the whole. Oh, let me just send a girl $500.
Without anything involved, right?
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
It's weird, but okay, it happens. There's
It
a lot
does.
of simps.
Yes, I'm traditional.
Yes, I am.
I would have to say I'm not, because I'm not like waiting till marriage for anything. So.
Okay.
I would say I'm traditional as well.
So if you are the ones who claim that you're traditional, if tradition by my definition is moving back towards experiments which worked, right? Which of those experiments that worked are you calling back to?
Experiments. What does that mean?
Can you define that?
Social experiments which worked, meaning, for instance, a nuclear family would be an experiment which worked. A cross-generational household being an experiment that worked. These are sociological distinctions, societal distinctions that we can look at and say, this society in this place, it worked. So which of these callbacks are you moving towards for these experiments which you think work?
As would you say, like being housewife and letting a man take his role and like be the head of the household?
course.
Like, okay, yes, I do believe in that. That's
You believe in that, but what Brian's after here is to determine you can believe that thing is true and that it worked as far as a social norm. That doesn't mean you yourself act in accordance with
I do.
that or move in accordance
when
to that.
there's someone in my life and that's what we're doing, of course.
Well, I mean, like, is eating shit traditional?
No.
So, I mean, that's like, but that's the point, right? That's, I'm sorry to be vulgar, but the reason I'm driving the point home is that you understand what it is that I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to give access to a point of these are experiments in society, especially American society, which worked, are you moving towards?
Do we believe in it
that
or
as
are
a
we
goal?
practicing in it is what you're saying?
Right.
I believe in it. I'm not doing what's traditional, but I don't feel like what I'm doing is going to keep me from being able to have that traditional experience and life.
I second that.
You know, I think that these podcasters are very much so like saying like you're never going to find a man that's going to respect you or you're going to have the traditional households. Like I strongly believe that there's somebody for everyone and that I will end up having my let's say unicorn in a sense, because you guys always feel that we're never going to find the man that a high value
Ferrari.
man. I feel like I get approached very much so by high value men all the time. They see my heart, they hear my mind, and I feel like maybe I'm just I don't know. I just believe I will end up in the traditional, you know. I don't think
after you've had your fun.
I feel like there's a man that would prefer that I had experienced and have done what I've done, because there's a lot of men that wouldn't want the girl that hasn't experienced and hasn't gone out there and seen what she likes. I feel like a lot of the men that I prefer to be around would find it rather interesting and
Do you know that
different than the normal girl that will bore them, that only was with them only, and how would they know if they would have chosen him over everything else? I think of when a man is with me, he's like, she's already experienced everything and she's choosing me because that she's already she knows that she knows what she wants. She's had it all. So
this is why these guys who are red pillars exist as red pillars. They actually would use a person like you as a perfect example. They would say, look, you believe in traditionalism and you think that it works to make society work. However, when enabled with the superpower of being able to do whatever the you want with sexuality in order to make a lot of money, you will do that instead. And then when you can no longer do that, suddenly you want to be traditional, right? No. This is their entire framework for the entirety of their narrative encapsulated in a single person. Is that not true?
No. I think
no. I mean, how is that? That is what you're doing, right?
Not really, but I mean,
aren't you using your sexuality for your own benefit in order to get a lot of money, even though you yourself believe in traditionalism as being the right way and wish that you could be a person who was a traditional woman? So aren't you doing exactly what the claim of the red pill is, which is that you will use your sexuality while you can as a superpower in order to make a ton of money, and then later when you can no longer use that, then suddenly you'll become a traditional woman?
I would be a traditional woman right now. I would want to be
with
the man.
Well, then what's stopping you?
Nothing is stopping me. I'm choosing to choose this way because this is what.
Right.
This is the way.
But
there is men. There is men that are traditional that would encourage you to do this. I mean, it's a great
no,
financial.
No, there's not any. What men who are traditional would encourage you to do this?
I think we're just saying that men take traditional men take that very, very seriously, and they live the entirety of their lives off of that. So do you think a true traditional man would want, you?
I mean, I've been approached by them. So yeah. Maybe not traditional, but that is fine. I find myself like I would want the man who understands it, who is like, you got your money. He's like, he encourages it. He understands it. He obviously like
supportive.
Yeah. He's supportive. There's no reason. Like obviously, I feel that when a man meets me, I know that I'm like, I have a good heart. I have a good mind. When he speaks to me, it might just be better than a woman who's traditional, who did nothing with her life and just sat there, waited around for a man to make her nice house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think a man can be a provider, but that doesn't mean that he is fully traditional. I guess that's
who cares about the words of this and whatnot. In the end of the day, it's like there's somebody out there for everyone, and I think these podcasts are very like, you're not going to find a man. You did this.
There's not somebody out there for everyone.
There is. Well, we're not for everyone, correct? But we're not. I'm not here saying like, oh, every woman won't find a man. Like that's who's to say that? You know what I mean?
The statistics. Literally, well, they don't say that, but they say close to that. They say that, yes, your chances and likelihood, the more promiscuous you are, to maintain an interpersonal relationship with a man over a long period of time,
it's
drastically decrease.
It's odd because I have like both friends that are in the industry or are not in the industry, and I feel like the ones that are and they're in the relationship are actually happier because they're honest and they're outgoing, they're open-minded, and they're speaking about sexual desires that normally a traditional household.
But they're not traditional.
Okay, well, what is
so we're non-traditional?
Okay. Traditional, it's just it's a title, right? Okay, this is what traditional is.
What would be the experiment that worked where two stars in history were getting together in holy matrimony in order to go and promote degeneracy? That's, of course it's not traditional. That's a brand newfangled gadget, right? This is a brand new, I mean, it wasn't even legal in the United States for most of its
But everybody was watching it.
Have you ever watched?
You couldn't watch it because it
Have you
wasn't
watched
even
porn?
legal. Okay,
Have
it
you ever
wasn't even
watched
legal.
porn? Have you ever watched porn? Honestly,
course.
truthfully. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Do you think that woman is disgusting and like the actors in the video? You're like, wow, this man is like, because there's such a double standard in society where it's like we put this man on a pedestal, like, wow, I wish I could be him, like versus the woman. But you think equally both of them are just as degenerate in that video when you watch it?
Yeah.
So why do you watch it?
Yeah, you're
well,
sinning.
I mean, once
You
upon
sinner.
a time, I myself engaged in plenty of degeneracy,
Okay.
and still, in
So
some,
at least you could
in
be
some
honest,
regard,
at
hang
least
on,
you could
stop,
say-
stop. Let me answer the question. Right?
Mhm.
I'm not above myself being a person who has been prone to sin. I mean,
What
just to
if they're
extrapolate.
Okay.
I'm curious as to why one gun is a deal breaker, or not a deal breaker, but 1,000 guns would be.
I think it's
What's
like
the distinction there?
it's a hobby at that point, and it's a weird hobby for me. Just
Why is it
personally.
weird?
It's weird. Why do you need a bunch of guns?
Why do you need to be on?
That has nothing to do with guns. Am I aggressive?
Well, I mean,
Am I like
if you're asking an
collecting
abstract
aggressive
of
things?
why does a person need X?
I don't think OnlyFans
right?
girls are like collecting guns. I don't know. I don't like. It's
What
just
would
weird.
that have to do with anything?
I'm very
If you're
uncomfortable
asking,
around
If you're
guns.
asking in
I
this
am.
abstract of why does a person need to do X, he doesn't need to do it. What's the
Okay.
problem with him doing it?
It's just
What's the
something that I
issue?
wouldn't feel comfortable around a lot of guns. If like I just wouldn't. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, is it telling you something about him? Do you think that it pushes
I've been
some
in-
sort of
I've been in abusive-
ideologies or an
Okay.
ideological distinction? What's the problem?
Okay, so I've been in abusive relationships in the past, and steroids, guns, things like that, maybe playing violent video games were a trait of men that kind of had this like violent tendency. In my personal life, my experience, I'm not saying all men that collect guns. So for me personally, it would be a red flag if I walked into the house and I saw a lot of guns. It would
What
be
if he
like-
was a cop?
I still don't know why a cop needs to have a lot of guns at his house.
Well, I mean, I guess my understanding of your kind of pushback here is that abusive men have guns.
I think it's a little weird that men would collect a room of guns. I think it is.
Why?
think
They
it's
have lots of
aggressive and-
value, and they go up in value every year. It's a great investment.
So are Birkins. You think that's a red flag for women to have a lot of expensive bags?
No, those go down in value every year.
Birkins and like Chanel bags?
Basically, all fashion items. are gonna
Do Chanel bags go down in value,
generally.
ladies? All Chanel bags? No, it's usually actually goes up. So I think that
I'm
you're.
talking in generalities here.
So am I.
Generally, fashion items are going to go down in value.
So all guns go up in
Guns
value?
are always, all guns go up in value every year, yes.
I still don't want a bunch
of
of guns in my significant other's house. I have a niece and nephew. I don't want to walk in to. I just wouldn't feel comfortable.
If he has them all locked up, he just has a wall of them.
I said a gun is okay. I don't want a wall of guns. I would personally feel uncomfortable. I'm allowed to feel uncomfortable around a lot of guns. It's just weird.
Yeah,
for
you're
me.
allowed to. I'm just wondering what the reasoning for why you feel that way is.
It just
Like,
feels
it's
like a
just an
violent-
inanimate object.
It's
right?
just kind of it's scary to me. You see it in movies and videos, and it's like always in a violent way. You're not like, hey,
As
let's
long as
have
the
guns
safety's
and
on.
it's fun. I just wouldn't like want to be around them. Accidents happen,
Yeah.
and I'm just very like, I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable.
If you're in an abusive relationship,
I have been.
Would you Yeah. Why is it that you wouldn't recommend the one tool which can equalize force between men and women that a woman doesn't get?
That a woman doesn't get that a man would have.
No. The only thing which can equalize force between men and women is a gun.
Okay, but
That's
he
it.
has the
That's
guns.
the only force equalizer which is even possible.
But it's not like I own the guns and I have access and keys and I can go in there and use his guns.
Yeah, but if you were a person who was abused or has been a victim of abuse, wouldn't you want to own a gun?
No. I feel very safe in my living situation where I live, and I don't feel like I need a gun there.
Yeah, I know, but generally for abuse victims, don't you think they'd want to own a gun?
Not all abuse.
Considering it's the
victims.
only thing that can equalize
Do you
force
think that
between
people
men
that have
and
been
women.
abused need to have a gun to protect themselves? Not all.
I'm sorry,
abusive-
say that again?
So not. I wouldn't feel like a gun. I wouldn't want to have a gun on me. I wouldn't want to use a gun. That could ruin my life. Just because I was in a situation, like I wouldn't.
How would a gun ruin your life?
If it was an argument and it went off in a situation, I wouldn't want to have
Guns
it on
don't
me.
go off in arguments. What do you mean? You're not going to be in an argument and a
Why
gun's
would
going
I
to go
wanna have a
off.
gun? Why
Guns
would I-
don't jump off
gun-
the shelf because you're in an argument.
No, a
and
gun
start
doesn't make me
going
feel
off.
safe. A gun does not make me feel safe against a abusive man.
Is that just because you don't know how to use one?
I just don't want a gun. I'm
Okay.
allowed to not want to have a gun in my home.
Yeah, you're allowed to. I was just curious.
It's just
I just wanted to
personally-
dive in a little bit
No, I get
because
it.
it seems to
I
me,
agree.
it seems to me that if you were a female and you were concerned because you had been an abuse victim in the past, that the one tool which exists which could equalize force between men and women, I would think that women would want that.
Do women want that? Do you guys
Yes,
feel like you want to have
I
a
would
gun?
love to learn how to shoot a gun and use it for protection at all times.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would.
Smart.
I would.
That's f***ing smart, by the way. That's smart.
I really want to learn.
Just like, yeah, for safety reasons.
For
I have
safety.
mace next to my door.
You
Mace.
can't bring mace to a gunfight, though.
I'm not gonna. Oh, I don't think I'm
Just
gonna.
saying, what if someone comes up
Just
to your
saying
door
that you're
with a
getting
gun?
robbed, yeah, or like if you're getting robbed
You need
or
to protect
something.
yourself. I don't think there's anything wrong with having
I
a
don't
gun.
think I need a gun to protect myself.
A
I
small
don't
pistol.
put myself in situations where I'm
A purse
gonna be.
pistol.
I don't go out late at night. I live in New York. I'm not like
Oh.
walking around Coney Island late at night with a gun.
Hang on, real quick. I just want to make sure that I get this right. Over to the gal. I'm sorry. In the near the center. I can't remember your name. Far into the table, on the far right. One of the Christian two.
Oh.
Not. Yeah, you. Yes. I'm sorry. What's your name again?
Oh yes, Cheyenne.
Cheyenne. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I have this right, but I just got a clip sent over to me that at roughly 52 minutes in, this is what I'm hearing it anyway, when you were asked if you were celibate, you said yes since last night?
Oh no, last May.
Not last night.
Right, no.
Okay. Okay. I was just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all. So anyway, yeah. Back to this. On the gun discussion. So most of you gals, you would say that since this is an equalizer, a force equalizer, your preference would be to know how to use one and have one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, the only thing is that I heard like an argument that I kind of thought about was that because men are stronger and bigger than us, if we have a weapon, they can always like wrestle it out of us and use it against us. But that doesn't really deter me from wanting to have one, just to be more trained. And for that purpose, I actually started training like BJJ.
Fuck yeah.
So, just
that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would you think that if a guy could wrestle a gun away from you, which is about the deadliest object you can have, that he's not going to have a massive advantage over you if you know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Because if you know anything about the sport, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a great way to maneuver bigger weights. It's not.
Yeah, have you also seen how many men with no training go up against women who have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training and still overpower them easily?
Yeah, so in my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, like one of her friends, she's a purple belt, and she was attacked by two people, and she broke all their legs, and it was like on the news. So
yeah, that never happened.
You can say
but
that it's
assuming
stupid,
that
that's
literally
on
that
the
never
news.
happened. Your friend was not attacked by two men
You
and then
can look
broke
it
their
up.
legs. That's absurd. Okay, what is it called? I'll look it up right now.
You can look it up. Like
I'm gonna look it up. What's it called?
4'11" girl attacked.
Your 4'11" or 4'11" girlfriend did not break a bunch of men's legs when she was
wasn't
attacked
11
with
though. She
Brazilian
was 4
Jiu-Jitsu.
foot.
That's insane. I want to see the proof.
There's a video. I don't know what I walked back in on, but that sounded
That sounds interesting.
that sounded ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. What is
Stuff
your, what
that
is
never
this video?
happened for 500.
Yeah, I got that never happened for 1,000. Literally. What's
She's gonna
the
win
what's the
money
video
tonight.
called?
It's not a video. It was on the news, and that was something that my classmate had said, and that was her like close friend. So.
Oh, okay.
You
So
can
it was a
look
friend
up
of
the
a friend
news.
of yours said that it was on
Yeah.
the news. Did you actually see
And
it
if I
yourself
can
on the
continue
news?
what I'm saying, you can
Yeah,
also
but hang on.
look up.
You can. But did you yourself actually see it on the news?
No.
No. Okay. So this is so a friend of a friend told you this.
Yes, and if you look up any YouTube video of real life Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fights, they're there for you to. You can look it up right now.
Yeah,
it's
I can.
It's not the most
have been
effective,
for-
but I mean,
Wait, Andrew, I got something for this.
No, hang on. I just want to be clear that when you said that you had a friend who broke men's legs with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu who attacked her, that's actually not true. That what's actually true is that you have a friend who told you she had a friend that happened to, and it was on the news, but you yourself never actually saw it.
like that I didn't see the news. Like,
Yes.
no, I didn't see the news, as I
So
said before.
so how do you know that any of this is true?
Because I'm believing in my friend, who that person was a very close friend to her, and I'm trusting in what she says because I also know the sport and I know how capable people are.
It's
in
like sola
being able
scriptura
to-
for the news now, huh? So, okay, well, I'm gonna look to be charitable and see if there's any woman ever who has been attacked who knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, who then went and broke the male adversary's legs with it. But I gotta
Grid
tell you
One
what I think. I'm
Motorsports
gonna find.
donated $100.
Who cares about the words of this and whatnot? In the end of the day, it's like there's somebody out there for everyone, and I think these podcasts are very like, you're not going to find a man.
There's
You
not
did this.
somebody out there for everyone.
There is. Well,
There's
we're
not.
not for everyone, correct? But we're not. I'm not here saying like, oh, every woman won't find a man. Like that's who's to say that? You know what I mean?
Well, the statistics literally, well, they don't say that, but they say close to that. They say that, yes, your chances and likelihood, the more promiscuous you are, to maintain an interpersonal relationship with a man over a long period of time,
It's odd because-
drastically decrease.
It's odd because I have like both friends that are in the industry or are not in the industry, and I feel like the ones that are and they're in the relationship are actually happier because they're honest and they're outgoing, they're open-minded, and they're speaking about sexual desires that normally a tradition
But they're
household.
not traditional.
Okay, well, what is
so we're non-traditional?
Okay,
Well, you
traditional.
wouldn't
It's
be
just
traditional
it's
if
a
you were
title,
to-
right?
I mean,
Okay, this is what traditional
What would be
is.
the experiment that worked where two stars in history were getting together in holy matrimony in order to go and promote degeneracy? That's, of course, it's not traditional. That's a
'Cause we
brand
love it.
newfangled gadget, right? This is a brand new. I mean, it wasn't even legal in the United States for most of its.
But everybody was watching
Close.
it.
Have you ever watched?
You couldn't watch it because it
Have you
wasn't
watched-
even legal. Okay, it
Have you ever
wasn't even
watched
legal.
porn? Have you ever watched porn? Honestly, truthfully. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Do you think that woman is disgusting and like the actors in the video? You're like, wow, this man is like, because there's such a double standard in society where it's like we put this man on a pedestal, like, wow, I wish I could be him, like versus the woman. But you think equally both of them are just as degenerate in that video when you watch it?
Yeah.
So why do you watch it?
Yeah, you're
well,
sinning.
I mean, once
You
upon
sinner.
a time, I myself engaged in plenty of degeneracy,
Okay.
and still in
So
some.
at least you could
in
be
some
honest,
regard,
at
hang
least
on,
you could
stop,
say-
stop. Let me answer the question. Right?
Mhm.
I'm not above myself being a person who has been prone to sin. The point of Christianity is not perfection, not to say that you're a perfect person. It's to always be moving towards theosis, being better. Not for you to say that there's an identification distinction. There's no identification distinction between us because you say you have watched. Yes, that's true, but you are a porn star who advocates for it right this second. So your argument is so absurd. It's like saying a person who was a cocaine addict can't tell people it's bad to do cocaine. Do you understand how absurd that is?
I think that's a little different because it's not killing people.
Yes, it is.
It doesn't stop their
and
fucking hearts.
Where on earth did you ever get the idea that it wasn't? Of course it does. It
How
leads
is
to
it killing
heavier-
people?
It leads to heavier amounts
Because they're
of
having
human
sex?
trafficking.
No, it's 'cause
just
society
on its
Or because
face.
they're
Human
masturbating so
trafficking
hard that
alone.
their heart stops?
Human trafficking. Do you think human trafficking leads to a better or worse life?
That's not the same thing.
Do you feel like a
Yes,
drug
but
dealer?
Pornography,
if
the
you-
pornography industry banks on human trafficking in a big way, and always has. Both sides of the border, in fact, is a massive problem.
You think
I don't know where you
OnlyFans
got the
does that?
idea that pornography doesn't lead to higher rates of drug abuse and mental illness? Because it does. Does mental illness lead as a contributing factor to people offing themselves? Because I think it does.
I think
all of these things are contributing factors to higher rates of
I think men are the
activity,
reasons
which
that
will
we want to
lead
off ourselves.
to early demise.
To be honest,
I have a real quick point. I feel like there is a lot of like people that like go through depression, and you're saying all these things about stars like falling into this like, you know, bad headspace. I feel like a lot of it has to do with how the public is making them feel about it. What you guys
stigma.
are saying about these stars and what they're doing, and they're just but it's crazy because you guys are watching it and you're pleasuring yourselves to what these porn
And then you
stars are doing.
subscribe.
So I feel like if it was
Well,
just
that would actually
talked
be a
about,
better case for me than for you. So you're saying it's the stigma which causes this, and yet you yourself may engage in this activity that you think is bad for society, which I would say in turn means we need more stigma.
I don't
not
think it's
less
bad for
stigma.
society. I think that people learn through it. I think it's sex
We
is
need
healthy.
less prudes.
I think most of the time some people masturbate and their stress comes like from
What do
their
they
body.
learn from it? How to eat shit?
That what?
To release
No,
endorphins.
there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of
that's your fetish. I
there's
don't
a
know.
lot of benefits to porn, you know, and I feel like the bad stuff that they say that comes from porn is because the world is so like to the cameras and to everyone, they're like, porn is bad, but they all wish they could do it, but they just know that people are just talking
So
about
is
it.
violence.
Do you
know?
realize that
So is
we-
Am I putting a
Wait
gun to anyone's
second.
head? No, I'm
Hang on.
relieving someone's stress. Sometimes like porn is healthy for like marriage and relationships and stuff like that. It keeps somebody from cheating.
Yes,
They just go to the
yes,
bathroom.
listen, it's possible that
My whole thing is I
it's
don't
possible
feel
you can move towards outliers and say that there are some people whose relationships have been vastly improved by pornography, and I'm not even disputing that. I'm sure that there's truth to that somewhere, okay? But we can look at our society pre-pornography, right? Like, this is not a thing which we have a massive history of. This is a new phenomenon in the West of having unfettered access to pornography. And overwhelming, every single societal and sociological study overwhelmingly shows that not only is it bad for the women who are engaged in it, but it's really bad for the men who become addicted to it. It rewires their brain, quite literally.
But
Of
like
course
anything, it's
terrible
like
for
when you're addicted to
society.
cigarettes, or when you're addicted to vaping, or when you're addicted to just doing anything like PlayStation. Everyone has a different fix. It's life. It's, you know.
Yeah, it's true, but
Yeah,
don't
how do
you
you feel
think
about
that we can
gamers?
make distinctions in society between people who might habitually
I think
eat
it's
one
beautiful.
too
It's like we're
many-
reproducing, though. That's
Hang
what we're
on.
supposed to be
We're
doing.
not. That's the big problem. We're not. In fact, our birth rates are under replacement rate, way below replacement rate. And the reason that they're under replacement rate is because women will say, well, I love tradition, but I'm going to wait until all my fertile years are behind me, and then I'll get married when they're in their 30s. And that's why the average rate of a woman getting married in the United States is 30 years old.
I think that it has nothing to do with the women. I think although women say that we want to get married when we're in our 30s, we do want to find our Prince Charming to sweep us off our feet. But because it's, you know, these days and how men are perceiving women and how they want to live their life first, it's actually causing this to happen. So women are just saying, I'm going to live my life.
that's
but
my point.
ideally,
That's
when
my
a
whole
woman
point.
is
My
a
whole
child,
point.
we are hoping to
Yeah, you're
find
just
our
making my
Prince Charming
point.
from a child. So I think that if we just found our Prince Charming at 19, 20, we would be married then. So this is something that we're just saying. Because in the end of the day, I feel like
find your Prince Charming at 19, do you think that going into an fans career for money is going to make you more likely to find that Prince Charming or less likely?
I don't think that anybody's thinking that. I think that they're thinking about survival, and I think they're putting their family first. I mean, I know for my decision was I
No,
wanted
you're
to
not
put.
thinking about survival. That's ridiculous.
For some, it could be
Survival's not
different for everyone.
$50,000 a month. That's ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
Most people would be more than pleased to have a $30 an hour job, and they would be surviving just fine.
Correct, but
Whenever
some
I hear
people-
this,
some peop-
I do this for survival. I always know the second a woman says, I do this for survival, and then we ask what her paycheck is. What do you think most people survive on?
Everything is for different people. Everyone has different reasons why they joined. Maybe they got out of I can't speak for why she joined OnlyFans. I can't speak for. No, I know why. I might
You
have.
all joined it for the same reason, because you wanted the money.
Okay, and that is fine, but maybe some didn't have the parents to tell them, hey, this
I
is
mean,
what college is.
What do you mean? You don't
May-
know the reasons then. You all know the reasons. You did
and
it
it's
because it makes you a
all
lot
I'm
of
saying
money.
is there's
That's why you do
no
it.
That's why I did
there's everyone has different reasons that why they joined.
No,
And
they don't.
I
They
think
all
as
have
long
the same reason. They all do it for money. All
Okay,
of you
and in
do
the,
it for money.
which money causes financial freedom. I will say my financial freedom has led to my family in Cuba having ACs. Like we all have houses. Like I've done good things with my money. I don't think that the girls that are doing
Yeah,
bad
all
things.
you had to do in order to get that was prostitute yourself. Do you think that was a good exchange? Does your dad say, thanks
Well,
for the
that's-
AC? I'm glad that you
But-
prostituted yourself for my AC. Honestly, does your dad say, thank you for prostituting yourself so I have air conditioning?
Well, that's not spoken about. But you because
Oh, I'm
it's so
sure it's
top
not.
down.
I'm sure it's not spoken about.
It's not prostitution. I mean,
Yeah,
you guys
how
at
is
the end
it
of the
not
day,
prostitution?
It's not.
It's in the end of the day. I know everyone
very
is saying
safe.
whatever
It's not
about porn, but I know that it arouses you, even though you don't say it. I know.
Oh, Lord.
I know you have seen it at one point in your life. So I'm just. My whole thing is like, just. I feel like we should really
Yeah,
stop
it's a
just
good thing
trying
I'm
to
not the
put
sum
these
total
and stars down because that is the why.
So here's the thing. It's a good thing I'm not the sum total of just my biology, and I have higher reason. And that, though I can agree that pornography could arouse me, there's no doubt that that's true. I also have this great thing called the choice to not view it, even knowing that it's true. So whether it arouses me or not is beside the point. I don't think that if put to the question, if I asked your old man, hey, all she had to do was prostitute herself for your AC, that he would say, good on her. Do you honestly think he'd say that?
Who is it harming?
Would he say that?
My dad doesn't give a but he also loves me. He just wishes that I chose
It's
something else to do,
unconditional
but
love.
I'm
Whether
paying
your
my
child
bills.
is a killer or that you're gonna love them no matter what. You understand?
Love
That's their
is not
decision.
the issue. Love. I'm not talking about love or whether or not your father loves you. I'm sure he loves you very much. You're his daughter.
Right.
I'm not saying anything about whether or not he loves you or cares
But
about
if that
you.
was
I'm
the only
asking,
alternative
if
that's
put to the
a woman had,
if
I'm
put
not
to the
saying that
choice
that
of,
was.
She makes a lot of money and can buy you AC if she prostitutes herself. Would he be behind that?
I'm not saying that that's what was my decision or anyone, but everyone had different reasons. Maybe that they were doing something. I've heard of different. Okay, you don't know as many like stars and creators as I do. I've heard and I've listened to people behind closed doors of why they joined. And you know, some of these people are the nicest people that I've met. I will say, like, I just think
Do you
that
know any of them who have motivation other than money for why they join?
money is the reason this
Dark
world is
Omen
moving.
42 donates
Money is the reason why there's being
money.
Men aren't
It's
interested
always
in
just-
dating women who act like men. Men go overseas because Western women are toxic and act like the men they want to be with. We want femininity and you all aren't.
Perfect, except be a masculine man, provide for the woman, then take her away. Like that's just simple. It's not so complicated. It's like in the end, all I'm saying is that I feel like, you know, these podcasts are always trying to say like that we're not going to find a high value man. The same thing we're just repeating, and I feel like it's bringing down these
why
fans and stars, and it's making them more depressed because it's just putting things in other men's head like, oh, that's not a good woman.
And don't
Honestly,
subscribe.
some of my star friends are just they care more for me than just like my non-star friends. Like I think that there's some of the nicest open-minded individuals, you know, so
Yeah.
I just feel like we
But
should
don't
stop
you
bashing
understand
people.
that reconciling this, when people hear this, right, when they're trying to reconcile it in their brain, okay,
Right.
they're hearing this. I do this because I'm a strong, empowered woman, and it makes me a lot of money. And then when pressed on it, the second they're pressed on it, it's because I have a poor family in Cuba. It's like, no,
Or no, but
you're not
aside
doing
of
it
that,
because
what
of-
if
hang
they
on,
found a
stop,
passion in
let
it?
Let me finish. I'm almost done. You're not doing it because of the poor family in Cuba. A side effect of you doing it may be that you can buy AC for a poor family in Cuba, but your motivation is purely self-interest. Let's not kid ourselves. It's purely self-interest, or you wouldn't do it, right?
My last comment is, what if I found passion in it? What if I have tried different jobs? I could tell you like 4 or 5 different jobs that you'd be like, oh wow, I used to code.
Which is why I
used to
asked the
code.
question
I used to
of whether or
code. I
not
was a
there's
life
anybody
insurance
here
and
who
health
did it
insurance
for any
agent.
reason other than money, and the answer was no.
And that's fine. But for some reason, right now I can retire if I wanted to. But I will say I will kind of find like something's missing. Like I find the thrill of like creating content. Like, cause in the end of the day, it's not just like, oh, we're getting on set and we're doing like a video. No, it requires marketing. It requires creativity. There's a lot to it, you know, because if it was just that
Would
easy.
you do it for free?
That what?
Would you do it for free?
I used to
Do it for free?
just influencing on Instagram.
Will we do
Just,
anything
like,
for free?
literally
We have 24 hours
not
in a
even
day.
making money, just building
Would
a
you,
following.
would you do this
Big
type of
Sass
work?
Energy donated $100. Imagine eating dingleberries on video and thinking you have a standing to provide a substantive argument on morality.
You said that you have a passion for what you do. Does that include the ass eating?
Well, that's like just like
Because you
what
said
we
you
do.
have a passion for it, right? Like, what if you have a passion?
Well,
for, like, is
no,
that
I have right. No, I have a passion for just like I enjoy
Just say it.
the
You have a passion
creativity.
for ass eating. Just say it. It's cool.
Well, yeah, that's outside of the job. I do that in my personal life.
Okay.
I love that.
Good for
I
you.
have always found myself like a
Good
more
for
sexual
you.
person.
I am proud. Of
I
you.
do feel like this job has made me more open to like hooking up with
Yes.
girls. Prior to I was too shy to tell a girl, "Hey, I want to eat your."
Like if a man is paying for a first date,
What does the okay? Yeah.
you know, that is showing her, if she is waiting, she wants a man that's going to be able to provide, okay, little things that are shown there.
Okay, so men
I
are
like-
typically expected to make the first move, approach, initiate, set up the date, plan the date, handle the logistics, pay for the date, go for the first kiss, move things forward from there. Physically,
That's a masculine man, someone who's
okay,
firm in themselves,
leading,
pursuing.
being dominant, masculine.
Mhm.
So that's what's expected very early and upfront from the man. So if that's kind of what men are expected to do, then what are women expected to do early on in the courtship process?
I would say respect them, show them feminine intentions, and just be a feminine woman. You know, loyalty if you are exclusive talking to that person.
Can you give me examples of that?
Like if a man is putting in this much effort to go and see you, you know, you're going to do your hair, you're going to look nice, you're going to give him attention, you're going to allow him to be a masculine man. You know, if he's opening up your door for you, if he's going to offering to pick you up, you know,
So,
there's little things we can do,
Brian,
like coffee or something.
You being a man,
but
do you care about any of those things?
What things?
The things that she just mentioned.
Like if you want a feminine woman, and I'll use the word like biblically, right? You know, in marriage, a woman will submit to her husband's authority because her husband is submitting to Christ and is leading the household. So you're trusting that they are going to lead you in the future. So as a woman, when you're going on a date, you know, it's not an interview. You're just getting to know that person, and you are appreciative and thankful for them, you know, being the leader and showing that masculine energy. And you there are being feminine and showing your feminine qualities because it is an equal balanced unit that will become one in the future.
It just feels like a bamboozle. Oh, okay. You previously slept with your past 10 sexual partners.
But you're
on
not
the
going to take
first
every
date.
girl out on a first date, you know? Like if you intentionally are looking to date someone, you'll take them on a date.
I think it's better to wait for a man as well. Like then you can like have a more intense bond with her anyway, or else it's better for you guys, I think, as well. That would be.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying though. Like yes, if a woman is
It's
sleeping,
a raw deal. It's a raw deal. I think it's a raw deal. Oh, okay. A month ago, you just had a one-night stand. You were on some f***ing cruise or
a month
traveling.
ago to a first
month
date,
ago.
understandable. But if you're if you're talking like a woman who is like, you know what, I have committed my life.
You've
you
been
know, I'm
celibate for 3
finding-
years. Maybe you get a bit of a pass. If you've been celibate for 3 years and then you want to wait, fine. But don't pull this game of like, oh, I want to wait 3 months, but then you f***ed a guy last week. That's the issue I have with it. It's
Yeah.
being consistent in your values.
I understand that.
I don't know.
I think-
Andrew, you got anything for this?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind engaging a bit on this topic with you. So, not you, Brian. Sorry. Actually, he has a point. So, to speak to his actual point with no deflection at all, what would the TPUSA position on this actually be? Would the TPUSA position on this be that if a guy does end up, dating a chick who was very promiscuous just a month before, and she has suddenly turned to Christ in her 30s, of course, that he should date her? That he should wait? I mean, what is the prescription here, do you think?
Well,
If you're going to be charitable to Brian's view.
No, I actually agree with Brian when it comes to if somebody had been promiscuous for months prior and then all of a sudden has decided, okay, you know, today's the day I'm going to go on a date and I'm going to save myself. I think there's a lot more work that goes into that than just 1 week of hooking up with someone and then all of a sudden the week later you want to go on a date and be with someone. Like there's a lot of steps that we're missing here. So of course, if a woman has slept with, you know, 10 men or however many and then is now going on a first date a week later or a month later, I do think that's a little early. Personally, I do think that's a little early to be like, okay, now I want to wait. I think as a woman, you would need to honestly reevaluate yourself and not date for a little bit and figure that out.
Yeah, from the man's perspective, that should be a massive red flag, right?
Right. No,
like you would say
you're valid.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, no, it's a red flag.
I don't even understand what your argument with Brian is about then, because that's what he's saying. That's literally all the guy is saying is, well, how is this not a red flag that you decided, oh, look, I finally found Jesus, right? As you tend to see many of the stars, even who come through this show, who suddenly find Jesus. They continue to do, interestingly enough, but they claim that they did anyway. Are we supposed to give or excuse their past 100 sex partners just because now they have and claim that they found salvation?
No, that 100% is a
Would you consider that a
factor.
massive red flag?
No, it's a 100% a red flag. 100%, because it's a lack of judgment, and you know I do believe that Jesus Christ does save us for our sins, but I don't think it's going to be an overnight switch of one day you're like the day you become saved, the next day all of a sudden clean slate. Well, it is a clean slate, but it's not like the next day you're going to jump into a relationship. I mean, this is a years and years long process. So if somebody has decided to save themselves, like let's say 5 years later, and then you become into a monogamous relationship, let's say you're an ex or whatever it is. But no, I'm not disagreeing with Brian if looking at the timelines of a 1 week to a month. Like, no, that's very reasonable. And
Well, then I guess you're going to have to look at Brian and say, Brian, you were right.
You're right under.
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 years. I'll give you 2 years. If a woman has waited 2 to 3 years and has not engaged and has truly dedicated her life to her new self, then different scenario. But I will give you the you're right with the red flag. I was agreeing with that.
Is that a checkmate? Checkmate? No.
It's not a checkmate.
Well, statistically, I guess.
Statistically?
No,
what are the
not
statistics
okay.
on this? But go ahead.
Well, statistically, if you're looking at like her history of like past hookups and dating, and then she claims she seeks salvation, it's something to like, I feel like something to look into, but at the same time, according to like, if we're getting into religious purposes, like we cannot cast stones at the person. Like, you know, let the
Would you date a guy who's shorter than you?
Would I date a guy? I'm not sure actually.
Grid 1 Motorsports donated $100. To skew this, as a man whore until I was 32, when I dated with intent to marry and met my wife within the first year. We had sex the first night and have not been apart since. When you know, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak from my own personal experience also, Grid 1. I mean, I've had a 5-year relationship, 2-year relationship. I've had other long-term, I've had a 9-month, 1-year relationship. Most of these were not like, let's go on dates for 3 months and then finally have, no, we had sex relatively quickly, second, third date. And yeah, so thank you, good one, for that anecdote. Wait, so you're saying something about,
saying
well,
how,
considering a woman's past promiscuity is casting stones,
No,
and you're not allowed.
Stones. I'm saying it's like you can take it into account, but I'm saying like let he who is blameless cast the next stone, which
What?
it's biblical. Yeah.
But so
I'm
what's
saying
your point?
I'm saying.
Are you suggesting
that
men should not consider women who've slept
No.
with 100 men previously as suboptimal partners?
No, I'm not saying that they can consider whoever they want, however they want. I'm saying like to judge them openly, verbally is like.
Well, they're not going to throw a stone. Can they take their stones and go home?
Yeah.
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 100%.
So that's
Because that
all
man's
that's
not-
all he's saying, right?
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
That's what I'm arguing. I'm not gonna like have a laugh and be like, oh, you fucking slut. No, it's just to me it's like me advising other men, don't date those kinds of women. And for me personally, I would not date that kind of woman.
And that's totally fine.
That's the extent. That's the extent of my commentary.
Oh,
yeah, that's
that's
totally
100%
fine.
valid.
I don't make it a mission to go out of my way and be like, look at this particular woman who's a slut. I don't do that. Now, in my own assessment, I'm of course thinking, well, I don't think this would be a good person to date, but that's really the extent of it. I'm not going to go on the offensive and be belligerent and attack you for it, but I will advise other men, this is a suboptimal dating move, and for me personally, I wouldn't be about it.
That's totally
valid.
fair. That's totally fair.
Valid. What are you doing? What was that?
I have ADHD. I'm sorry. So
It's all good. It's all good. But look, I mean, I think it's wonderful if women are choosing to move in less promiscuous ways. If you try to prioritize long-term relationships, I think that's great. But do realize, even if you do make that proactive choice to change up the way you move, that men are still going to consider perhaps your past actions and behavior, and even though you've changed, still preclude you from wanting to pursue you for a serious relationship or any kind of relationship. And in that scenario, though, I can just tell, I'm just sort of explaining the guy's perspective here of, well, because, for example, I'm not going to expose her, but we had a Christian girl come on the show, and she said multiple times that she was waiting for marriage. I think she'd been on the show twice, and then she came back on the show, and she said, well, I'm waiting till marriage to have sex. She came back on the show, and I give her credit for at least admitting this. She said, I had a slip up. I had sex with somebody. And then it would be very frustrating for me, for example, if I had been dating her in between that time, but she was like, oh, I'm going to wait. And then I find out like a week after we break up, for example, after I dated you for 3 months, and despite, my desires to have sex, you're like, no, I respected it. And then as soon as we break up, you go and another guy, I would, look, that's tough. That's your prerogative, but I'd be like, well, did you really think that? Were those really your values? And then similarly, if I was about to pursue a woman who said,
Basf's donated $100. You guys are missing the issue here. It's not about being Christian now, it's that withholding sex is a tool of manipulation. Chad gets the cheeks up front, good guy has to wait for seconds.
Oh, which I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think women should use sex as a tool for manipulation, 100%. A woman shouldn't withhold sex within marriage, personally.
yeah,
But
well, he's even talking before that.
if you're going on dates,
Well, they're using it for compliance or leverage to secure a long-term relationship or to secure monogamy.
I don't think it's worth it.
What do you mean, for the guy or?
No, either way, I don't think you should sleep together before. But
Okay, sure. I'm trying to remember what I was saying. Oh, and just the last thing, I would also kind of feel like getting a bit of a raw deal if I just met a girl and she told me that a month ago she had a one-night stand with a guy, but now that she's met me, oh, okay, I'm waiting until marriage. I'd be like, my dude, a month ago you some dude in a club. Like, that's ridiculous. Good for you, but I feel like I'm getting a raw deal here, so goodbye. Like, it's not me feeling entitled to anything. It's me like, okay, I feel like a sucker in this situation, so this isn't a fit, so.
Would there be like nothing else you were getting from the relationship?
What do you mean?
Besides that?
What do you mean?
Because normally, like, when you consider a relationship, you consider like multiple parts of it, not just the sexual end. Like, what if?
Sure. You can obviously, women offer a great deal outside of sex.
What if there was something else that you like found in her, like another quality that you liked?
She'd basically have to be a slave for me to accept this very suboptimal scenario where I'm essentially a sucker for A month ago, because this is the scenario I gave, a month ago she had a one-night stand with some dude, and now she's telling me she wants to wait 3 months, 6 months, or until marriage to have sex. She's gonna have to basically be a slave for me. She's got to clean my house and shit. She's got to vacuum. She's got to do some Mr. Miyagi shit, paint the fence. Wax my car and shit.
In this suboptimal scenario,
Yeah.
yes, I understand where you're coming from.
I also
Chores.
don't think any sane woman who wants to
Right.
date you would say, oh, hey, by the way, I just got banged 2 weeks ago, but I want to wait with you. Any sane woman will not tell you that. So this is a far out hypothetical that
Yeah, she
probably will
might.
never happen.
I would hope she
And
would
if
be honest.
It's not about honesty. It's about, like, just, again, y'all are going to love me for this discretion, right? You don't need to know anything
I do
about
need to
what
know.
I did 2 weeks ago.
I
You
do
don't
need to know.
about the date that I had 2 weeks ago.
I do need to know.
Why do you need to know?
Because if I find out, let's say we get engaged, and
yeah.
you fucking lied to me about that shit,
Okay.
it's fucking over. Goodbye.
Okay.
I don't care.
But this is
I don't care if the wedding is fucking
out.
planned.
Okay.
And if you should never you shouldn't lie to a guy like that. What are you doing?
She's just helping.
Wait, was there slip? Was there slip?
No, she's just looking out. I don't think.
Okay. Was there?
I didn't
Nick?
see a nipple out, so I was just making sure.
Okay. So what?
I know. I think I'm just having fun. So I think it's a really far out hypothetical situation that no woman's going to go on a date with you and then tell you that they did something 2 weeks ago. And if she wants to wait for 3 months, then like, yeah, it's a shitty situation. That's your choice to pursue that or not. So.
Well, the thing is like, I assume on this first date there would be some conversation about, where our values align or don't align when it comes to the rapidity with which we would. I'm framing this in. When it comes to, do you want to have sex? Do you want to wait? Not exactly in those words. And so if on that date she says, well, I'm waiting till marriage, but in like the scenario you gave 2 weeks ago, she some dude, that would be.
I'd find that interesting.
It would suck. That would be like, okay, cool, like that's not really in alignment with what you just told me, and then that's your choice to pursue that or not. And that's what she was saying, is it takes time to kind of make those changes, and you have to also, and like that girl who said she had a slip up, it takes time to implement these changes and these choices and these habits.
So yeah, but you're okay. So is your advice then to you ought to omit or lie to men and not reveal?
No, that's not my advice. My stance is it's so hypothetical and it's so far-fetched that like most girls won't say that.
Here's an example, right? If I'm actually interested in a girl, one of the questions I might ask her when first meeting her and screening her out is, when's the last time you've had, the phrasing might change.
So vulgar. When did you get banged last?
No, I said, when's the last time you've had sex with someone? That's a question I might ask, because I want to know. You fucked a guy last week, not interested.
Yeah, and that's your choice, and that's okay.
Right, but so would you recommend a woman in that situation to lie?
No,
Okay.
she needs to say like, okay, like she needs to be forthcoming. I'm not saying you need to lie. I'm just saying like most women wouldn't have that kind of switch up or would say that.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
So then wouldn't it be wiser advice then to say that if this is something which is new to you, if you've just made this switch over in your life, that you should ease off of dating for a while
I agree.
altogether?
I wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah, you should wait.
If that becomes untied, is it like
No, it won't untie. It's just I got
Okay.
animated when I was talking to you, and she was just looking
Okay,
out, so.
let's just, if you can, just be cautious of that.
I will.
Okay, so, well, what do you rate yourself on the wife scale? 1 out of 1 to 10.
What is the wife scale?
Like, are you wife
Are you wifey
material?
material?
On a scale of 1 to 10. That's what he wants. So we'll go around the table really quick on this. Go ahead.
Wife scale, Yes, absolutely. I have full capabilities of becoming a wife.
So,
oh no.
I mean, you are correct me if I'm wrong, you are a sex worker, right?
Yeah.
Currently.
Why would you think that you would make a good wife?
Just because I have a certain profession does not take away from my ability to care, love, and provide something that my partner is seeking. So,
the science would disagree. Have you ever heard of a phenomenon called pair bonding?
No, tell me.
Are you aware that the less sexual partners a woman has, the easier it is and the more likely it is that she can pair bond with her first sexual partner?
Okay, but that doesn't mean that I can't bond with my person now.
Well, it's true. You could be the exception to the rule, but wouldn't it throw up a red flag if it was known that the more sexual partners a woman had, the less likely it would be that she would actually be able to bond with you? For instance, the more men you sleep with, the more likely you are to be divorced, for instance. The more men you sleep with, the more likely you are to step out of a long-term relationship. All of those things are true, and that's probably due to this pair bonding thing. So why would a man want to trust a sex worker to be a wife?
Maybe he has also been a part of the industry and understands. And also there are men who make allowances or grace for women and their past. There are men out there, and it's not a subpar choice. It is just a personal choice. And as far as pair bonding goes, I believe that it is up to the woman and her own intuition and her own body and her own ability to connect with oneself when it comes to connecting with another partner. You have to know yourself. You have to know deep down, like, you can get all scientific, you can bring me statistics, but all it boils down to is the woman's self-awareness and
Did you say
the connection that she
scientifical?
has with herself. I don't care. Don't grammar police me. I'm just making a point here.
You can know yourself.
Well, I was just curious, as we get into more of the scientifical data here, if we can maybe back up just a little bit.
Okay, yes.
And we can look at this objectively. If your son came to you and said, "Mom, I'm going to marry a sex worker," what would your advice to him be? Follow your dreams, my son?
My advice to my son, if he wanted to pursue a sex worker, was, does she have an exit plan? What is y'all's long-term goals? Do you support this? And if not, what is that trajectory going to look like? It's all circumstantial, and there's no just like copy and paste answer to this. It's about what one another's motives are, and if it's not a good fit, then it's not a good fit, and it's not going to be beneficial or healthy for everyone.
Now, let's say he came home with Betty Sue, and he loved Betty Sue, and Betty Sue had no sexual partners, and she was just head over heels for him, and so was a sex worker at the same time, and their sex looked about the same to you. Which one would you recommend your boy go with?
Whatever he feels, or whichever.
No, what would you recommend? Not
Me
what
personally,
I know. We already know his feelings. He can't decide. Mom, what should I do, Mom?
Okay.
Should I go with the prostitute or with Betty Sue? Which one would you tell him?
I would look at either girl's ambition and what they want to do with their life, because Betty Sue can be a leech, and that or whoever it is can be self-sufficient and want to add value.
They both want to be
whoever's going
veterinarians, and they both have
add
about the
value.
same IQ, and they both have about the same resources to go to veterinarian school. If you had to choose, which one would you tell your boy he should go with?
Whoever's going to add the most value to his life. And if the prostitute or whoever it is can give him more life advice or more knowledge that's going to help him in the long term, then so be it.
And which one would you just intuitively say, without looking at any scientific data at all, if your boy asked you, which one do you think will be more loyal to me? Which one would you think you would tell him would be more loyal, that was more likely to be more loyal to him?
I believe it's all about their own personal choice to commit. So Yeah, I mean, you can look at someone's past behavior, you can look at all of that, but it's about the commitment and the now and the choice that they're making. So Betty Sue may have not been with anyone else, and that might motivate her to pursue other options, as opposed to the prostitute who has been with several people and knows what else is out there, knows that my son is a good man, and that she is winning the lottery because she has experienced all of these other things.
But sexual experience means nothing in the dating world, because if your son, hypothetical son, is going into a relationship with a sex worker, which both of you are.
The Bronasons donated $100. Left to right, Morgan wife 8, Purple Jacket 3 not a wife, Already a wife, Angry A Cups 4 and not a wife, Kmart Cardi B 4, Queen of Australia 6 wife, Bunny Ranch Thought 4, Leche Bags 3 not a wife.
Yo, this guy's gunning for me.
Man.
This guy is gunning for me, bro.
We have one more coming through, and then Morgan will finish with her question there. Thank you, KDF. Thank you, the Bronasons. So the guys before me weren't good enough for you to settle down with, but they still got to F. Now I'm the man of your dreams, but I don't even get what the bums got. Make it make sense. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's going back to what I was talking about before. So women will, like, it's just funny with that, like, they'll give the sexual benefit to these, you'll say they're boys, they were jerks, assholes, not deserving of it. And then the guy who is actually deserving of it, he's the good guy, whatever, he's the one who gets to wait. Men are waking up to this and seeing that's kind of a raw deal. And yeah.
Can I just make this last point real quick? I'm almost done.
Okay, and then we'll have
I was just
Morgan
curious, curious on this, just back to you real quick. How would you feel if you hadn't eaten breakfast this morning?
For me?
Yes, you.
Oh, I mean, I had breakfast.
Okay, I thought you did. Thank you.
Was that a jab? What was the point of that question?
Nickelodeon donated $100. She would tell him neither, because her degenerate ass will be desperate to keep the only man in her life to herself.
She would tell me either because her will be desperate.
As if, like, the
Okay.
my hypothetical son.
Angie,
would
do you
be
want to
the
explain that really quick?
Yeah, so this question, and it's more of a meme. It doesn't really have any scientific foundation at all, but it is kind of funny. If you ask a person what they had for breakfast this morning, you're engaging, or how would they feel if they hadn't had breakfast this morning? What you're doing is you're engaging in a hypothetical, and you're trying to examine what they think they would feel like had they not eaten breakfast. But there's many people who can't engage in hypotheticals, and so they just respond with, but I did have breakfast this morning. And so that's the point of the question.
Interesting. Interesting. Morgan, you had a question.
And you, just to be clear, you did have breakfast this morning.
I don't understand. Okay, all I hear is breakfast right now, so let's keep it rolling.
Okay.